A value proposition is a simple statement that summarizes why a customer should choose your product or service. As we know, customers are very specific when it comes to their needs and their desired benefits. So the value proposition should cater to those particular needs. Here are some tips to create an effective value proposition to your target customers. First, prepare a situation analysis. Second, make it straight to the point. Third, highlight the value of your product or service. Fourth, adapt to the language of your market. And fifth, add credibility-enhancing elements such as testimonials from your customers. This will surely help you in encouraging your customers to choose and buy your product. On the other hand, unique selling proposition refers to the factor or consideration presented by a seller as the reason that one product or service is different from and better than that of the competition. With that said, let me give you 3 tips on how to make an effective unique selling proposition. Number 1. Identify and rank the uniqueness of the product or the service attribute. You should be able to put yourself in the shoes of your customers. We know that there are a lot of competitions around, so why should your customer choose your product or service over others? Number 2. Be very specific. Put details that emphasize the differentiator against the competitors. And lastly, number 3. KISS. Keep it short and simple. Think of a very catchy, unique selling proposition in the simplest and shortest way possible. For example, the unique selling proposition of the Domino's Pizza. We guarantee fresh hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. They promise that if the pizza arrives late, you don't have to pay for it anymore. And that's what makes them different and unique compared to the other pizza parlors.
Marketing research is an organizer effort to gather information about target market and customer. Know about them. Start with who they are. It is very important component of business strategy and major factor in maintaining competitiveness.
Advantages of market research. Mitigates risk. One thing you have to learn about starting a business is that there will always be risk. While there is no such thing as no risk in business, there are multiple steps you can take to ensure that that risk is so small it's not even an issue anymore.
Improve sales. Thorough market research will assist you in developing your product or service. Constantly improving the product or service you provide is a must if you want your business to grow. If you're providing a subpar service, no matter what tactic you employ, you will not be able to tap your customers' loyalty. Better image on customers. Once you start pleasing your customers, they will start talking about you, which is essentially free advertising. Never dismiss word of mouth, as it is better than any ad you can ever show. People are more susceptible to a referral than to an advertisement. Measure brand reputation. Market research will tell you what your brand reputation is. This means that you can know what your customers think of your brand, which allows you to rebrand if needed. For example, brands which are considered as catering to only one group of people can rebrand so that they are more inclusive of all customers, regardless of sex, social status, age, etc. This also allows you to tap into more markets.
Disadvantages of market research. Research is expensive. One of the main reasons that turned off companies from doing market research is that the huge cost that they have to shoulder. For businesses which are just starting, it can be quite intimidating to know how much goes into market research. Unfortunately, without market research, it will be like bringing a knife into a gunfight.
Market research takes time. Another resource that market research uses up is time. You need to do proper research with the right questions and audience. This means that if you want to have credible information, you would need to devote a lot of time into it. Market research can only target a small population. one problem that even actual researchers face is a lack of respondents. While you can figure out easily which part of the population is your target audience, asking them to fill out surveys and questionnaires can be tricky.
Limitations of marketing research. It is not a panacea. Marketing research is not an ultimate solution to all marketing problems. Rather, it offers accurate information, which can arrive at a suitable decision to solve a problem.
Not an exact science. It deals with human behavior and as such cannot be examined in a controlled environment. There are various and uncontrollable factors which influence marketing forces. This gives scope for wrong conclusions. Hence, this leads to marketing research as not being an exact science. Erroneous findings. The complicated problems may not be comprehensively studied and their impact properly analyzed by the researcher on account of insufficient fund, time, and technique. This leads to erroneous findings, which disappoint the management. Not an exact tool of forecasting. It cannot be used as a foolproof tool of forecasting because there are a number of intervening factors between the findings of the research and marketing complex. The forces act and react and interact to give a complex state which is difficult to be studied.
Inexperienced research staff. It needs great expertise and well-trained and experienced researcher, interviewer, and investigator.
Narrow conception. Marketing research is a fact-finding exercise. It is not problem-oriented. It is of low and questionable validity.
Involves high cost. It is considered as a luxury for management as it involves high cost.
Limitations of tools and techniques. The validity of marketing research is also limited by the limitation of tools and techniques involved.
Is passive. Its use and effectiveness largely depends upon the ability of executives to get the most value of it.
So, good day. My topic is all about market size. But before we go through to market size, let us go to market. So, ang sabi dito, market is one of the composition of systems, institution, procedures, social relations, of infrastructures whereby parties engage in exchange. So for short, when we thought market, dito nagkakaroon ng transactions between the buyers and the sellers, kung ano man yung inaalok ng buyers product or ano man yung pwedeng i-avail ng customers sa mga business na inaalok ng buyers. So let us go to market size. Sabi dito, ang market size is the size of the arena where entrepreneurs' business will buy. So, for short, ang market size is the approximate number ng buyer and ng seller sa iisang lugar. We have the entrepreneur's role. Ang sabi dito, isa sa entrepreneur's role is required siyang i-determine yung market size through conducting strategic marketing research. We have steps in strategic marketing research. So, I made it into shortcut na 3 E's. Bakit siya sinabing 3 E's? Kasi it is estimate, eliminate, and estimate again. So, the first E is estimate the potential market. Estimate the potential market. So, dapat alamin ng entrepreneur yung mga approximate number ng possible customer na bibili ng ganitong product at ano yung pwede niyang i-avail na service. And then yung next is eliminate the customers who are probably unlikely to buy products or avail the service. So, dapat yung entrepreneur, i-remove niya yung mga hindi naman makakatulong magpataas ng sales or ng business niya. And then yung last is the estimate the market share. So, kung babantayan mo, i-remove mo yung mga products or services na hindi makatulong sa'yo, dapat as an entrepreneur, matuto tayo din maging aware sa competitors na meron tayo. So, before we go to customer requirements, let us go to customer. So when we say customer, it is the lifeblood of the business. The people who buys the product or the avail services of the entrepreneur. For short, customer, it is the center of the business. Ito yung binibigyan ng entrepreneur ng needs and wants as a customer. Meron dito, words to ponder. Napaka-common ng word na to na the customer is always right. Ito yung ginagamit na mantra ng maraming entrepreneur kung bakit sila nagsasucess. Kasi sabi nila, true customer is always right. Na-assess ng entrepreneur kung ano ba yung pagkukulang nila at ano pa yung mga dapat nilang i-innovate para masabayan at mabigay yung needs and wants ng customers nila. So, we have the two types of customer requirements. The first one is the output requirement. It is said that it is the mostly tangible characteristics, features, or specifications that a consumer expect to be fulfilled in the product. So, ito yung mga bagay na nahahawakan. For example, gusto ng customer na ganito yung magiging itsura ng headphones niya. Gusto ko, color black to at smooth siya. So, dapat ang ibibigay ng entrepreneur is yung ina-expect ng customer, which is yung color black yung headphones niya and smooth yung headphones. So, the other naman is the service requirement. Sabi naman dito, intangible aspect of purchasing a product that a consumer expects to be fulfilled. So, sabi hindi nahahawakan. So, ang ibig sabihin nito, kung paano ibigay ng entrepreneur, ng crew yung service na binibigay nila, kung yung entrepreneur ba nakasmile yung crew kapag nagsuserve or nasa-satisfied ba nila yung mga gusto makita ng customer nila, kung paano i-treat ng entrepreneur yung customers na meron sila. So, may experience natin yung sasabi na ang pangit naman ng treat sa akin, bakit ganun? So, dun pumapasok yun sa service requirements. And then, next, we have the 3 levels of customer requirements. First one is must have. Ang sabi dito, it is the bare minimum requirement expected by the customer. So, pinaka-expected. So, for example, sa restaurant, ano bang ine-expect kapag nasa restaurant? Siyempre, merong pagkain, merong spoon and fork. Kasi yun yung dapat na meron. Kasi, paano magkakaroon ng business kung yung gusto niyang business, wala naman siya yung dapat na nandoon. So, kailangan meron siyang expected na gamit na nandun. Hindi ka naman po pwede magtayo ng magkaroon ka ng business na rice retailer pero hindi ka nagbebenta ng bigas. And then yung next is satisfier, yung pangalawa. Sabi naman dito, it is the requirement that customers express their desire or explicitly. So, ito yung kung nasa-satisfied ba yung customer. Kung mas yung expected lang na value, mas nabibigyan ng doble. For example, is nagbayad ng malaki yung customer sa buffet. So, dapat worth to pay yung binigay nila. Kung ang in-expect niya lang is 2 meal yung ma-avail niya, pero mabibigyan mo siya ng 4 meals, pero na worth it dun sa binigay niyang budget or yung price na binigay mo. And then yung last is yung delighters. Sabi naman dito, it is the extras or the add-on. So, hindi naman siya nakaka-apekto kung wala siya, kung may absence man ng delighters sa satisfiers, pero mas ini-increase niya yung pagiging satisfied ng isang customer. Ayan. So, meron dito entrepreneur's role. Ang sabi dito, entrepreneur must be aware of all the requirements for them to cope up with features that best suit their needs. So, dapat yung entrepreneur is marunong siyang magmasid. So, gagamitan niya to ng marketing strategy. So, papasok dito yung the entrepreneur must group them together, calculate their size, come up with products and services that suits them. So, gagamitan siya ng survey and other customer reviews through research marketing method.
Having the right customer is one of the key components that makes your business successful. As an entrepreneur who's starting on a business venture, it is your duty to find your target market.
A target market is a group of consumers or organization who is most likely to avail a company's goods or services.
On your business venture, you need to have these two types of target markets, the primary and the secondary target market.
Based on bizfluence.com, a primary target market is a group of customers that a business thinks it has a great opportunity to convert. They're the consumers on whom the company is banking to be early adopters, brand evangelists, repeat customers, or simply a good bet. While a secondary target market is the next market that most appeals to the company for its promise and potential.
But for you to find your target market, there are a few things that you still need to learn before you take a deep dive into the vast pool of potential customers to look for your target market, and that is market intelligence.
And market intelligence is defined as the information or data that is derived by an organization from the market it operates in or wants to operate in, to help determine market segmentation, market penetration, market opportunity, and existing market metrics.
To make it simple, market intelligence is the information that you need to know about the market that you want to be in, and it could also be an information about your competitors.
For example, let's say you want to start a tech company. Market intelligence will serve as your map. You can take a look at your top competitors like Apple and Samsung. With these data, you can figure out what makes them successful, what sells best, and what's not, and who are their target population. And you can also take a look for what made the disruptor disrupted. I'm talking about Motorola. Motorola is the first brand of cell phone, but now it seems like it's just a myth in the tech industry. You can look for the reason on how and what went wrong with Motorola. Next is market segmentation. Market segmentation is a marketing term that refers to aggregating prospective buyers into groups or segments with common needs and who respond similarly to a marketing action. Market segmentation enables companies to target different categories of consumers who perceive the full value of certain products and services differently from one another.
To make things easier, imagine that market segmentation is like a sorting hat that groups potential buyers that has the same demographic, same location, psychographic, and behavior in order for entrepreneurs to come up with who is their best target market.
Now here comes the part where I explain the demographic and the geographic segmentation. Demographic segmentation is simply means grouping customers by their ethnicity, gender, age, income, education, family makeup, and religion.
Demographic data is usually derived from public documents, but it can also be found on the internet, which makes it easier for entrepreneurs to collect. And one of the weaknesses when you rely heavily on demographics only is that when society changes, so does the data. Therefore, entrepreneurs must always be alert when these changes happen.
On to geographic segmentation. Geographic segmentation is a type of market segmentation that groups prospective customers based on where they live. People living in the same environment tend to have similar wants and needs. And geographic segmentation allows marketers to target audiences in a country, city, or a region with messaging that appeals to their specific wants and needs.
Psychographic segmentation is defined as a market segmentation technique where groups are formed according to psychological traits that influence consumption habits grown from people's lifestyle and preferences. Behavioral marketing targets consumers based on their behavior on websites rather than purely by the content of pages they visit. Behavioral marketers target consumers by serving ads to predefined segments or categories.
Talking to your customers. Marketing research will not be complete without talking directly to the target customers. It is good to estimate numbers such as market size, market share, and other general market assumptions. But the best way to fully understand the customer is to ask them about their specific thoughts and desires. Sinasabi dito na ang market size ay hindi mo-complete nang hindi nakakausap ang target customers ng direkta. And ang best way daw para maintindihan mo ang iyong customers is tanungin mo sila about their specific thoughts and desires para malaman mo kung ano yung pinakagusto talaga nila. Next is to analyze proper timing for research execution. This is important because the entrepreneur will be able to get maximum results when he or she identifies the respondent's answering pace. Geography is also important to determine the behavior of the target market as well as the foot traffic. Last is to establish a market research design that will effectively implement the steps mentioned. Importante daw po ito based sa book dahil gamit ito makukuha ng entrepreneur ang maximum results when he or she identifies kung gaano kabilis ang respondent's answering pace. Important din daw ang geography kasi gamit ang geography, madedetermine niya ang behavior of the target market pati na rin ng foot traffic. The next one is the interview. It's one of the most reliable and credible ways of getting relevant information from target customers. It is a face-to-face contact between the researchers or entrepreneur and the respondent where the researchers ask pertinent questions that will give him significant pieces of information about the problem that he will solve. There are two main types of interviews being conducted by the researchers. Those are the unstructured interviews and structured interview. The unstructured interview is an informal type of interview and does not follow a specific set of questions. Structured interview employs a specific set of questions and produces quantitative data. A prearranged questionnaire with specific question, usually answered by yes or no, forced ranking, multiple choice, or choose the best will be answered by the respondents.
Good day everyone, I am Glenn Christian Tan and I'm here to discuss what is an FGD or a focus group discussion. In the book's terms, the focus group discussion or FGD is commonly used by market researchers to capture qualitative results from target customers. It is a process of mining customer and non-customer experience and insights about a specific product or service. In simpler terms, FGDs are spontaneous, sometimes on-the-spot group interviews held by a professional moderator that collects the information by observations. At times, the group and moderators themselves are documented altogether, and at times even just observing the interviewees without them being aware of the interview.